Hi everybody, welcome back to Mouse Ears and Wishes. I'm Jen.
I'm Stefan.
And we are so happy you're joining us today for our official review of Dutch Wonderland.
Dutch Wonderland.
Dutch Wonderland. Wonderland of the Dutch. So if you haven't already seen our vlog of our time at Dutch Wonderland, I will leave it in the description down below. But if you have, then you know that we had an amazing time.
It was a great time. I mean, I was going to say shockingly. You always say, oh, it was shockingly a great time. Again, we didn't know what to expect going in, but you know.
And honestly, after our experience at Sesame Place, I felt like any other experience would be better. So, and it was, but not because of Sesame Place, because it was just like legitimately excellent.
Yeah.
So, to get into some of the details before we break down our official thoughts, right now, during like the fall season, Dutch Wonderland is really only open on the weekends and some select weekdays. So right now you could get a Saturday ticket for $49.99 for general admission or $39.99 for seniors. A Sunday or weekday pass will set you back $39.99, but they also offer different seasonal passes, which I feel like the seasonal passes are only available during the summer months, because that's when they're going to be open every single day. So only during the fall do they have these like weekend hours. And then I'm pretty sure they close after Christmas until probably the spring/summertime. So I think that covers that.
Yeah, you did your research.
Yeah, I did. I'm looking at my notes. So I don't know, did you want to talk about how we felt upon entering the park?
The vibe walking in, I don't think I mentioned this during the Sesame video, but it kind of, you immediately felt hectic a little bit, like going in there, because everybody's kind of rushing around.
Place?
It's Sesame Place,
okay.
Yeah. Whereas here, you know, you kind of felt like there was a lot of space. You know, it really wasn't that crowded, even though there were probably a lot of people there. It was a very nice day, but it didn't feel that crowded. You know, people were just kind of enjoying the day, like Sunday stroll through the park to get to wherever they wanted to go. So it didn't, you know, it didn't feel crazy. It was just a nice day going in there.
Yeah, I'd have to agree that it definitely felt much more relaxed, and it seemed like everybody was having a good time. We didn't go during peak season. I mean, we did, but we didn't. So it's hard to know like if that's the general attitude, but yeah, it definitely felt really nice to be there.
So the first thing that we ended up doing, as soon as we walked into the park, I turned around and I grabbed a map, which I didn't take last time. So we could kind of get like a feel of how the park actually looks. And something I mentioned at Sesame Place is the park maps are fun and funky, and it doesn't really give you a good idea of where things are, honestly. But this park map had a really good layout, and it kind of showed you how everything was split up in the whole area of the park. Yeah.
There are a lot of attractions, a lot of different types of attractions, that you have your basic carnival boardwalk type rides, but also like steel roller coasters. They have water rides, they have boat rides. They had a like dinosaur exploration trail, which we didn't get to go on. I think because part of the park is like water rides, water park-esque, but because of the time of the year, that area was closed, and the water park area is called Duke's Lagoon. And I think the Duke's Lagoon area encompasses Exploration Island. So we didn't get to do the dinosaur like exploration trail. And our friend Eloise is a big fan of dinosaurs. So hopefully we get to go back and do that with her. I think she'd really like it. But definitely a lot of different offerings, different types of offerings than were offered at Sesame Place.
Right. I think something I was actually surprised about was how large the park ended up being. You know, from the outside, you kind of see there's a monorail that goes around the parking lot, so you kind of think
there's a monorail, guys.
They have a monorail,
okay?
but you kind of think like, oh, it goes around the parking lot. I guess there's not that much space inside the park for the monorail to go around. But you go in and it goes further and further back, and then there's that dinosaur land.
Yeah.
So there was so much stuff we
It's
had
huge.
to do that we didn't
And we
even
didn't
get
even,
there.
yeah, we didn't even see all of that.
Yeah.
And I kept being like, oh, well, this must be the end of the park. And then there would be another section and another section. So it's actually quite expansive.
Yeah, but it's not too confusing to get around. I mean, especially with the map, it is sort of like circular, to get around the edges of the park.
True.
So it's pretty good.
One of the first attractions we did the first time we went was the train ride. And the train will take you around almost the entire park. So if you're trying to get the feel of the land, the lay of the land, and to see like what attractions you might want to go on, we recommend taking that little train ride first. Because as we're going around, Eloise would be like, oh, I want to try that. I want to ride this. I want to do this one. So it gives everybody an idea of what's available if you've never been before. So
Yeah.
kind of a fun way to get your day started. They also offer shows. They had like this, almost like a SeaWorld-esque type of theater where they had a pool and everything. And we didn't go see the shows, but we heard the shows happening and people were like getting splashed and screaming and stuff. So they have a lot of different shows. I believe that one was the open dive. So I guess they do diving tricks.
Yeah.
They also have the Adventure of the Frog Prince, a Dragon's Tale, and then in another smaller theater, the Bubba Bear attraction where they have
right.
it's kind of like Country Bear Jamboree, I
Right.
think, but less scary.
And it has, I think that's more like a smaller area with like I mean, all the seating is outdoor in all the theaters, obviously, but this isn't like, in like risers and everything.
Yeah, it wasn't
It's
like
just
an amphitheater. It's just like a little sideshow area. We found that the loading system was a lot more streamlined at Dutch Wonderland. It wasn't just like a stop, let people in, how many more spaces do I have? Okay, let in the next party. They seem to have that down pat pretty much for how many guests can go on each attraction.
Yeah.
Again, it wasn't like a super crowded day, so maybe that's why it seemed better, but I don't remember having an issue the last time we were there either.
Yeah. The only thing is that we came like sort of earlier in the day because we stayed nearby.
Oh, yeah.
So we were able to have like the morning, without too many people getting there. I think probably by the time we were leaving, that was the only time we started seeing lines pick up, but mostly the biggest line was in the monorail line on the inside
Yeah,
of
the
park.
monorail line was the only line, and that's because the monorail has limited capacity. There's
Right.
only one monorail, and it is slow.
Yeah.
So that's probably where you're gonna get the most lines.
Yeah, but everywhere else was fine. No more than like a 5-minute wait, honestly.
Or less.
Yeah.
So obviously we went with our friends Abby and Evan again, and their 2 kids, both of whom require a disability pass. And if you remember the fiasco from our Sesame Place reaction video, this was a complete 180 from that experience. So the way that the sizing system or size chart works, it's like different gemstones. So you could be like emerald or ruby or whatever, sapphire.
Yeah, working with the theme, I guess the gemstones go with the wizards of the Renaissance era.
Sure. So we went to guest services. We said we require disability passes. You didn't have to have like your disabilities card or anything like that. They just were like, okay, sounds good. What height, are each of the kids? And we would tell them. And so they would give us colored wristbands that matched their height level. And I felt like at every attraction, they gave details about what kids could go on, the different attractions. We right away noticed that the park was much more accepting of people with disabilities, and that while Sesame Place says that it's like made for kids that have special needs, I have to say that Dutch Wonderland exceeded our expectations in that regard. They have employees that have intellectual or physical disabilities working there. So right away, you know that they're extremely accepting of everybody, and they want everyone to have an amazing experience.
Yeah, and you can tell that the workers have all been trained very well for how to deal with accommodations.
And they all know the rules. So the way is similar to Sesame Place. You line up, except the difference is that for each accessibility pass, 2 adults can go with the child on the attraction. There is no limit to how many attractions you can go on with your pass. And each child can ride the attraction twice without getting off before having to get back in line. So when we rode the train, for example, we went around once, then everybody got off, and the team member came over and said, would you like to ride again? We said yes, so we were allowed to stay on while the next group came on. And you line up at the exit of each attraction, and everybody knows that you're there to use your disabilities pass. So it was very easy. It was very easy, and it was great that like there was no limit on how many times you could use it, because that was a huge issue for us at Sesame Place. Was, well, we only have this many punches, like when are we going to use it, sort of thing. So that was great.
And speaking of ease of use, and kind of tying it to how we mentioned before, the park feels larger and more open. It's a lot easier to maneuver yourself through the park if you have strollers or wheelchairs or any sort of electric vehicles that you're using. So there's even a space, like for example, for the train at the exit, there's space to leave your wheelchairs as well if you're using accommodations.
So as we mentioned with the sizing system, at the entrance to each attraction, the sizing system would say, like, if you're at this height, you need an adult. If you're at this height, you have to be able to, like, you can ride at this height, but you have to be able to, like, sit up on your own. Like, it gave, like, good explanations. And we also got a card of explanations as well from guest services the first time we went.
Right.
With, like, what attractions they would be allowed to ride and, like, what special accommodations you had to be aware of. And so that being said, we mentioned that Ben only got to ride like 1 or 2 attractions at Sesame Place. Here he rode, I feel like 3 or 4. I mean, still not a ton, but it was really great that like Evan was able to go with him, or Abby was able to go with him on the attractions. It wasn't just like, oh, well, if your kid wants to go on the attraction, they have to be able to sit by themselves. So there were definitely, enough attractions where he could be accompanied by an adult and still experience it. And like, you can't see it in the video, but the joy on his face of riding, like, he didn't have to sit in the wheelchair area of the carousel. He could actually ride on a horse, and the look on his face, like, it was like the greatest thing that's ever happened to him. He had the most amazing time. So I feel like that in and of itself was worth the trip out there.
Absolutely. And I feel like there's a lot more accommodations in this case, like you mentioned before, about how, there might be instances where the parent gets involved and is able to do the ride with the child. So, for example, in Sesame Place, I was with Eloise, and our friend Evan was with his son Ben, and we went up to the top of the slide, and when we got up there, they said, oh no, you can't go down with your child, which feels a bit backwards when you're supposed to be accommodating. They tout their being accommodating. But whereas here, Abby and Evan were able to take both their children with them and go down the fun slide and have a great time and really enjoy it. So
yes, that was really nice. So and I felt like overall Dutch Wonderland, sort of similar to Disney in a way, caters to all ages. So everybody can have a good time together. Everybody's welcome to go on. Like, even like some of the kiddie attractions, like they were like, oh, do you want to go on? And I was like, no, I don't. But like, adults could go on, it was about like families having fun together. So I thought that was really great. But before we continue on, obviously, as I've mentioned in our Sesame Place video, We are not experts on traveling with children with disabilities, but my friend Abby is an expert. And not only that, she is a expert travel planner in that area as well. So if you have questions, you want to ask her about her experience at Sesame Place or at Dutch Wonderland or any other theme parks or life, you can reach out to her. I will link all of her information in the description below as well. Our next item is food. So you didn't see us eat in this video because we ate at Dutch Wonderland the first time.
Right.
When it downpoured, we took shelter in, you'll see in the video, like the seating area. It was really cute. I mean, it was really fun.
Yeah.
In there. But, it's just your typical theme park food. I mean, it was nothing special. Not that Disney is always special when it comes to food, and certainly Sesame Place was not special when it came to food.
Yeah.
But it was your typical theme park food, burgers, chicken fingers, hot dogs, hot dog nuggets.
Yeah.
So they had a couple, I guess, specialty items, but like nothing you would want to write home about. And I felt like I remember it being kind of pricey, but that's kind of like typical for theme parks.
Yeah, that's what you expect. Yeah.
It is like smack dab in the middle of like a very busy area. There's outlet malls and stuff like that. So like you don't necessarily need to eat in the park. You could go out to like some of the other like chain restaurants
Yeah.
Outside the park if you want.
Yeah, a lot of options nearby. And yeah, you're right. There's like an outlet mall every 3
Oh, yeah, there were like
traffic lights or
three.
something.
There
It's
were
like-
at least 3 outlet malls. Abby and I were doing some shopping and like I drove to the wrong one because there are like multiple outlet malls around. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So while, in the main dining area, the food was very theme park oriented, they did have little booths. I'm just remembering this now, but they did have little booths around. We didn't get to try any of these items,
right.
but like they had like a pretzel. Like I feel like I should have gotten a pretzel. We were in basically like Amish country, like we should have had a pretzel, but they had like a pretzel shop, they had a panini place,
They had like a potato land
potato area. Yeah, like potatoes are my thing. I don't know
Yeah.
why like we didn't eat there, but
Yeah.
so I have to say probably the main dining area is your typical theme park food, but probably those little specialty shops are really good.
Right.
So
They're sort
keep
of
that
niche,
in mind.
but,
Yeah,
and
the next one.
they're sort of also kind of, they're around the edge, but they're like halfway through the park. So it's like you don't really have to go far
Yeah.
to find something to eat. And then they also have stuff like, I think there was a Dippin' Dots
Oh yeah, there's like ice cream
booth
and,
somewhere, you know, so.
typical.
Yeah.
Maybe even like a Rita's. I feel like Evan really wanted Rita's at one point, but I can't. I mean, I can verify that, but like I'm not sure right now. But anyway,
Yeah, so a lot of options, a lot of variety there.
they have a huge merch store, but it's very generic, like princess, knight in shining armor, dragon merch.
Right.
We didn't really find anything that was like Dutch Wonderland specific. There were a few things, but like nothing that really caught our eye. So we didn't purchase anything.
Yeah. There was, I think what you're referring to is the one that's sort of like as soon as you walk in,
Yeah.
it's got that big sort of area there. And there's another smaller merch, more like open air merch area right in the middle of the park. And that sort of had some
Yeah,
extra
the more like
tchotchke stuff.
Dutch
but-
Wonderland specific stuff, I felt like.
Yeah.
But also like costumes. Like they had like it was an overwhelming amount of merch, but nothing like that was really any different than what you would find like at your local five and dime sort of thing.
Yeah, I feel like, not that, the character design and everything, like the design and theming of the park is like bad, but it's very, kid oriented and a little kitschy and whatever. So like an adult probably wouldn't buy something and wear,
Right.
with like a hand-drawn wizard and knight on the
Right.
chest, but a
Whereas,
kid
like,
might, yeah.
I bought a Spirit jersey at Sesame Place because like who doesn't love Sesame Street, you
Yeah.
know? So that was the only thing I want to mention about that. We, like I said, had an amazing time. Again, I feel like this is another great theme park like Sesame Place. If you are introducing theme parks and amusement parks to young children, this is a great way to start that before you move on to the larger theme parks, you want to make sure it's worth it, definitely give Dutch Wonderland or Sesame Place a try. It's located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So if you are in the Northeast, it's not a terrible distance away. So it was about a 2-hour drive from us, and we're from central New Jersey. So yeah, so not terrible. We did, because we wanted to spend as much time as possible, we did stay the night in the area surrounding Dutch Wonderland, and there are a lot of hotels and things around. So they have the Cartoon Network Hotel, which is like the hotel that's supposed to be kind of attached to Dutch Wonderland. It is right next door. Very pricey though. We could not A, afford it, but B, like, it was and I feel like we couldn't even get a room when we were going. So you could check that out. It looks cute if you're into Cartoon Network. They're very highly themed rooms. But we stayed at the Hilton Garden Inn and Suites, I think, which was right across the street.
Yeah.
So that was great. So you can do that. If the 2.5 or 2 hour drive is too much, you can always stay. It was fairly reasonably priced.
Yep.
And
it also backs right up to an outlet mall.
It does. So if you want to do some shopping after.
Yeah.
And it was a very nice hotel. We had a good time there. So, but again, the kids loved it. Ben, I think, had an even better time this time than he did at Sesame Place. Eloise had an amazing time, as you could tell from our video. We all had a great time. It was just a really fun day, and I would love to go back someday.
Yeah, I never thought Dutch Wonderland would be something I'd be interested in. Yeah. I didn't know about it first.
Well, yeah, I feel like I heard about it just like in passing one day, and then Abby brought it up that she wanted to bring the kids there. I was like, oh yeah, I like vaguely remember this. And now I'm like obsessed with it.
Yeah,
so. Because
it was just so much more than you would expect. Having known nothing about it, you go, oh, Dutch Wonderland, I'm sure that's great. Yeah, a bunch of wagons or something. No, it's got stuff for
it's just
everybody.
Charming.
Yeah.
There's just like charm about it. Like Sesame Place did have like the Sesame Street area, which I felt was very charming, but the rest of it felt like, I don't know, like
just kind of tacked on to be like, oh right, we should put theme park stuff in here.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas like Dutch Wonderland has like charm. Like it's very charming, and like clearly they care about theming and they care about the guest experience. So I highly, highly recommend Dutch Wonderland if you can get out there, especially if you have young kiddos.
Yeah.
So one last thing to mention before we end this video. Just like Sesame Place, Dutch Wonderland offers their own holiday offerings or seasonal offerings. So they have Happy Hauntings, which is their Halloween and fall time special, and tickets are $35 a person. Or they have Winter Wonderland, which I didn't have a price for. They're not selling tickets for that yet. But that's going to be their holiday offerings. And then I believe, like I said, the park then closes for the season and then reopens in the springtime. So if you're looking for something fun to do this fall or winter, check those out.
There you go. Yes.
Well, if you liked this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel.
Yeah, and if you want to leave a comment in the comment section below, we love interacting with our viewers, so feel free to do so, and we'll get back to you.
Especially if you've been to Dutch Wonderland and you want to share any stories, or did you agree with our review? Did you disagree? We'd love to hear about it from you.
Is there something we missed? We'd love to know.
Did we get something wrong? I mean, that's very possible. So if we got something wrong, please share. Please share at the bottom. That way we can inform everybody. All right, well, I guess that's going to wrap it up. So, thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a great day, and
keep on wishing.